Out with a buddy of mine at Lucha Rosa, right? So Lucha Rosa is like this bar that's on the top floor of this hotel, right? And I was going to meet up with my buddy, right? He told me that he had found out about this event, maybe knew one of the people who was hosting it, and so kind of invited me out, right? But I get there before he does, and I had a bit of trouble finding the place, right? I didn't realize that it was on the top floor, and there was another bar that was on the bottom floor, right? So I'm sitting at the bar on the bottom floor, kind of waiting for him to come, right? And he tells me that he's also bringing a friend, a female friend that he's known for a while and actually used to date, right? So that's fine. I'm waiting for them to come, sitting at the bar downstairs, right? And strike up a conversation with a couple of people around me. Eventually end up talking to this one woman. She's very well dressed. It seems she's very well dressed and has like a program that indicates to me that she came from like a play or some sort of show or some event, right? So I strike up a conversation with her about that. Um, we talk for a few minutes. Then the conversation kind of ends. I'm still there. My buddy comes in, and so we go upstairs, right, to the upstairs bar, right, actually Lucha Rosa, right. So we're upstairs, right. Um, I see the woman from downstairs end up, starting another conversation with her. So then it's kind of the four of us, right? Him, his friend, me, and this new woman, right? At some point in the conversation with the four of us, it ends up kind of breaking off into two smaller conversations, which is me and his friend, or former girlfriend or whatever, and then him and the new woman that I just met, right? And that he is also meeting as well, right? My sense is that the woman's into him, so I'm happy for him and her to have the conversation, right? And the his ex is cool, and I met her before, and so talking with her is fine as well, right? But there comes a point in the conversation where she makes a comment, something along the lines of, hey, I know we're here talking, and I don't want to stop you from interacting with other women if that's what you're into, right? And in my mind, like two options come up, right? One is to say, like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to other women. Instead, I'd rather talk to you. Or to say, okay, well, I've enjoyed our conversation. I don't want to hold you. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon, and I'll go mingle with some other people, right? The first option to me, though, would be somewhat showing or conveying that I'm interested in this woman, and this woman is a friend of mine's ex, and so I don't want to convey that interest, right? I don't want to say, like, let me not talk to other people to specifically talk with you, which I was fine talking with her, but I didn't want to send the wrong signal that, hey, I'm interested in you and me and you in a one-on-one conversation in that way because of the past relationship that I knew they had, right? So I leave and go start to mingle, right? When I mingle, I approach this woman that I recognize, right? I've seen her before. And when I go up and, start a conversation with her, she also recognizes me and actually remembers me and says, I saw you here and I'd been hoping for the chance to talk to you because I really enjoyed meeting you before, right? And at first, when I came up, I didn't remember where I had seen her. But that brings me to the first lesson of this video and kind of this night out is that when you're going out and meeting people regularly, if you are new to it, and even if you aren't as new, there will be times where you kind of misjudge how much someone likes you, right? It may seem like you don't make that big of an impression on them, or maybe that they don't like you that much. but then you run into them later on and they have a strong positive memory or association, memory of you or association with you or that sort of thing, right? You find out, hey, they liked you way more than you thought, right? This is more common when you're kind of starting out. But it happened to me that night, and it kind of said two things. That one, there's still work to do in terms of reading and judging how well people are responding to me, right? And that'll just come with more time. And two, that this is a benefit of going out frequently, right? Of going out regularly, is this almost compound interest sort of effect where because I've gone out before, initiated a conversation with her before, and that was positive. Now, when I'm out again, I'm not starting from ground zero with her, right? I'm starting from a warmer, more friendly, sociable place because of the good interaction that we had before, right? And so it's like because I'd been going out regularly, I was already at an advantage this second time out because of the good things that happened the first time out, right? And now I'm going to get into, it took me a minute, but I did remember where the first time I saw her was, right? So she was out with a friend that night, right? And so I began talking to them, and I felt like the conversation was going pretty well. But it was fairly short, maybe about a minute into the conversation, before I introduced them to a group of guys that I knew, right? And it was about three or four guys, right? So it had been me talking to these two women. Then I say, oh, hey, let me introduce you to my friends who were standing kind of right behind me. Turn around, introduce them to these guys, right? When I introduced them to, so now it's like a group of four of us guys and two women. When I introduce them, I can tell that one of the guys immediately gets nervous. And what he does in response to getting nervous is that instead of engaging with the two women that have come in, he directly starts a conversation with me. Like, oh, Jamal, what do you think about this? Right? Starts asking me some data questions because we both work in data. Ask me one question, I answer. Ask me another question, right? I turn around and like to look back at the larger group, and as I'm doing this, I see the two women walking away, right? So within like 30 seconds of introducing these women to the group, they have decided to go off and do something else, right? So that is a little bit of a lesson there in that if you're very nervous, even opportunities that may be put right in front of you, you may end up fumbling or not making the most of because of the nerves, because of the anxiety. And so the way to get around that is to kind of own it and recognize that and work on it, right? It also kind of bears the point that even if you aren't so nervous to where you can't say anything, you can still say certain things and give off the wrong impression. And because you're giving off this unfavorable impression, it causes the other folks you meet to not want to engage in a conversation with you and therefore quickly leave, right? So in both those cases, excuse me, the lesson to take is kind of the same thing that if you want to get better socially, then you have to view it as a skill. And like any other skill, the more you practice, the better you'll get, right? And not only with just practicing, if you have coaches or feedback or insight from others who are more advanced at this, have more experience, they can help you advance more quickly and you can get to your goals more quickly as a result of it. So, now, back to the interaction then with this woman who I met that night and I'm seeing months later, right? Things end up going well with her. We end up exchanging contact information this time, which didn't happen the first time. And I even ended up meeting with her, after that and going on a date, and that was nice and all. But the lesson there is still the same that going out and practicing your social skills helps you in interactions, no matter if they're small or longer, and that there is a compound effect to this, right? That tonight's successes or good interactions can end up aiding you in next week's or next month's interactions and vibe of the night. And so in the beginning, it will seem like a hard trek, right? It'll seem like work. It may seem like tough. It may seem challenging, but the more you do it, the better you get. And the more you do it, the more you are reaping the rewards of this kind of compound effort that you have put in, right? The more things kind of build on top of themselves and can turn into an upward spiral that leads to even greater and greater degrees of success for the same or for even less work, right? So things do get better, but you have to be willing and able to put in the work and to keep pushing through until you are seeing the results. So take that as motivation, take that as a good sign, take that as proof positive that good things do come if you continue to work at it. I'm wishing you guys the very best, and I hope you continue getting out there in the field. Bye.